What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. And the government is constantly making moves, folks. And we need to pay attention to what the government does, because the government, there's a lot of criminals in our government right now. The Biden administration is a criminal organization, if you will, because they're allowing millions to pour across that southern border illegally. And they are aiding and abetting human smuggling, for goodness sakes. Yes, that is exactly what they're doing. There's a crisis going on down there, but these people, they don't seem to care about the rule of law. They've proven that time and time again. Look what they're doing with student loan repayment. They're just forgiving debt. Screw what Congress says. Screw what the Supreme Court says. They're denying oversight left and right just constantly, and then giving these lame-ass excuses on why they don't want to give up this audio tape. They've already, Congress has already held Garland in contempt. But guess what? Garland is the one that's going to oversee his own prosecution? Yeah, freaking right. But we got to pay attention to these people and exactly what they're doing. And because they are very hypocritical at some times. Very hypocritical, and they love to virtue signal, folks. These congressmen and women and senators, they'll all get up there and say, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And you go and look at some of their actions, and their actions just show their hypocrisy outright. And the story we got coming up today is an instance of such hypocrisy, if you will. Check this out, y'all. Senators want to designate Russia as a state sponsor of terror after Putin's pact with North Korea. So if you haven't paid attention to the news, that is right. Vladimir Putin went down to North Korea and they made a defense treaty. Got together and they're buddy now, right? And then now the West is getting all bent out of shape and get their panties in a bunch because they signed a defense treaty. It's been on the news constantly for the past couple of days ever since this thing came out. And now our senators are getting out there. Oh no, oh God, they're gonna, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's just crazy. Right, let's get into it right quick. Let's just check this out. Two senators announced legislation Thursday that would designate Russia as a state sponsor of terror, a move that would put Moscow in a small and notorious group that includes North Korea and Iran, in the wake of Russia's mutual defense pact with Pyongyang. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal introduced the designating the Russian Federation as a state sponsor of terrorism act after Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signed their defense agreement on Wednesday. The designation would trigger more aggressive sanctions, such as export controls, ban foreign aid, and restrict access to international financing. Besides North Korea and Iran, Cuba and Syria are the only other nations currently with the designation. They're like, how come Afghanistan isn't on that list? How come some of these countries in Africa aren't on that list? That's just outright crazy. But another thing that I find outright crazy is, I don't know if you guys remember when Russia invaded Ukraine, you had good old Joe Biden get up there and say he's going to put the most extensive sanctions on Russia that he can ever put. The most pressure on Russia. He said that. And then guess what? A couple of months later, he said that again. And I was thinking, well, hang on, didn't you already put these sanctions on Russia? And, every couple of months since then, he's come out and said, oh, they're putting more sanctions on Russia. Hang on, if you put the most sanctions you can put on a country, how the hell can you put more sanctions on top of that? And now they're doing that again. They're putting more sanctions, right? Just more and more sanctions. It's all BS, folks. Yeah, the sanctions don't work. The ruble is doing good. It's not dissuading Russia from doing anything that it wants to do, for goodness sakes. They got the BRICS nations that they're trying to take down the U.S. as the hegemonic power in the world, for goodness sakes. That's what they're trying to do. And we don't seem to be trying to stop them, right? You might think we are by feeding a bunch of weapons to Ukraine, but what is that really going to do? You're just dumping money into a corrupt nation. That's all they're doing with that. They're not actually trying to stop. You get out there and you get in front of this stuff. I'm not a world leader. I don't know foreign policy all that well, but I imagine there are several other steps you could take to try to stop Russia if you wanted to outside of sanctions. But let's keep going. The lawmakers' move came on the same day that the White House said it will speed up delivery of air defense interceptor missiles to Ukraine by redirecting shipments that were intended for other allies. The action is intended to help Ukraine fend off increasing Russian attacks on its energy grid. Look, I wonder why they didn't mention the specific allies, right? Because it's Israel. Because the White House is all pissed off at Israel right now. And, kind of understandably, but when you have a nation such as Israel, who is surrounded by enemies on a constant basis, you kind of understand why they may go a little bit extreme with trying to eliminate some of those enemies when those enemies have death to Israel in their charter for their country, for goodness sakes. It's like, hang on, how the hell can we condemn Israel and not condemn Hamas or not condemn Iran for backing these people? It just blows my mind. Joe Biden gave $6 billion to Iran. And hey, not long after that, guess what? Hamas attacked. That's why a lot of people say that this would have never happened under Donald Trump. Trump was tough on Iran. He backed out of that ridiculous nuclear deal that they signed that actually gave Iran a bunch of money and allowed them to continue their nuclear program. I'm not going to say nuclear weapons because they're not supposed to be doing nuclear weapons. It's supposed to be nuclear power stations, right? Wrong. For God's sakes, they want to wipe us off the map. They would love nothing more than to wipe us off the map. Why would you do anything to help these people? Pummel them into the ground in every way you can, except blowing them up, right? Like just financially, in other words. Let's keep going. Mr. Blumenthal, Connecticut Democrat, held up a photo of Mr. Putin and Mr. Kim meeting in North Korea and said their collaboration added to the laundry list of reasons to label Russia as a state sponsor of terror. Is that so? Well, by that metric...
Look at this. It's amazing. That's the demarcation line. This is the DMZ. Look at us. The smiling, the admiration, the love. And then he says, would you like to be the first American welcomed into North Korea in peacetime? And Donald Trump says, I'd love that. And then Kim Jong-un says, can I please have your autograph? And also, can I have Dennis Rodman's autograph? And can I have a pair of golden Trump tennis sneakers, please? Because I want to play basketball in them.
And this is why I call it a virtue signal, because we have sponsored terrorism all over the freaking world as well. But we're not trying to sign a bill that says the United States is a state sponsor of terror, are we? No, but we are certainly have no problems whatsoever with drone striking people into oblivion, with drone striking, killing American citizens. Innocent American citizens, right? Like the collateral damage from that. Who cares, right? Obama was notorious with this. As a matter of fact, it's one of my criticisms of Donald Trump. He done a lot of drone strikes too. But, Donald Trump didn't outright kill American citizens in foreign nations that we're not even at war with, right? Like Obama done so many freaking drone strikes, it blows my mind that more people don't know about this. I was talking with somebody earlier, talking about all the damn drone strikes of Obama, and they was like, huh? Drone strikes? I knew he did some, but no, he did a bunch, y'all. He has the most drone strikes of any president. Of course, you could say he was president for 8 freaking years, so of course. But it's just the fact that, who sponsored the Taliban? Who sponsored Al-Qaeda? What was the reason for ISIS even coming into existence? A lot of people blame that on Hillary Clinton. I don't know how, but we do so much dirty work overseas that we could easily be named as a state sponsor of terror. Just because we're constantly funneling weapons to this place and that place, doing this and doing that, it just blows my mind. Why are we so involved with stuff like this? I wish we could just take a step back, take a look at ourselves, and see that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be sponsoring terrorist organizations in Colombia. Right? Like, a lot of people don't know about that either. But that's not what we're getting into. I'm trying not to get derailed like I always do. Let's keep going. The Russia-North Korea pact would guarantee that if one of the countries was invaded and pushed to war, the other would come to its defense. Kind of like NATO. And now we're condemning Russia for doing the exact same thing? See, the hypocrisy just blows my freaking mind. What is wrong with Russia having a defense pact with North Korea? Is it because the political class in our country don't like North Korea and really don't like Russia? Is that it? Because that seems a lot like NATO to me. It seems like a lot like what we have, an off-paper type of basis with Taiwan. We've outright had Joe Biden say we would militarily defend Taiwan and then have to walk that back. Yeah, these people are just... The incompetence leads to hypocrisy sometimes. Because you do something stupid, and then when you get called out on it, you gotta walk it back. And then do the same thing. It just, these people, I don't know, the people we have running our government just drive me up the freaking wall. I rest my case, Mr. Blumenthal said. Two of the most autocratic, atrocity-committing offenders in the world, standing together, terrorist sponsors. Yeah, go ahead, do some more virtue signaling there, like we haven't sponsored terror, but yeah, I've already harped on that, so let's keep going. Mr. Graham, South Carolina Republican, said that among other things, the terror designation would be a morale boost to people of Ukraine. Who cares? Nobody cares. And why? Why is that a morale boost to the people of Ukraine? Do you think this is going to affect Russia at all? No. It's not going to affect Russia whatsoever. I have no doubts that Joe Biden would absolutely sign this into law. I don't know if Congress will. They probably will, because this is one of those uniparty bills that most of the Republican Party would love nothing more than to vote for, because they're all insane too. He said if the designation were put in place, countries that wanted to do business with Russia would be doing so at their own peril. Ooh, yeah, like that's gonna freaking stop anybody from doing business with Russia. I just don't get it. The virtue signal from the United States government blows my mind. And then we're expected to believe that Russia blew up its own pipeline. Yeah, freaking right. But I know I harp on this all the time, folks, but we need new people in government. And it's up to us to do it. It's up to us to get out there, pay attention to politics a little bit, especially around elections. Pay attention to the primaries, because if you want somebody new in Congress, that's how you get somebody new in Congress. You get out and you go vote on your primary. Yeah, Republicans are notorious for not voting in primaries. We just don't show up, and then we want to complain about it. Well, you know what? You could do all the complaining in the world. The complaining ain't going to fix nothing. Getting out and going to vote will absolutely fix something. So we need to get off our ass, all right? Once again, I'm saying that talking on behalf of Republicans, but I'm technically not a Republican because I highly dislike most of the Republican Party. It's a corrupt organization. And I definitely don't like the Democrat Party, but like I said, there are one, maybe two Democrats out there that actually have a brain, that actually think logically. Yeah, they're not a lot, but once again, there's only maybe 10 to 15 Republicans that have a good brain, that think logically, that can critically put two thoughts together and not have them contradict each other, if you know what I mean. But these people in government just seem to be purveyors of corruption. That's all they do. They get up there and they get persuaded by the lobbyists, right? And then that's what they vote in the interest of. This is how we get $1.7 trillion deficit spending. This is how we get a budget that goes $1.7 trillion over what we take in, and they just write that off and approve it. Like, yes, this is fine. Yes, Congress has to approve the federal budget. So if you want to blame deficit spending on Joe Biden, half of that blame has to go to Congress. Absolutely. You can't blame everything on Joe Biden, even though he is currently in the process of destroying our country, destroying norms by going after his political opponents for absolutely nothing. These states, New York, is bad about this because that case should have never been brought. That case was absolutely ridiculous. Maybe give him a fine for a clerical error, for God's sakes. That was just one of the most ridiculous things, but we're getting way off topic, folks. But that's all I got for this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section, because is this just not the biggest virtue signal that you can think of? Let me know what you think. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.